Opco Studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. We're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online right now and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Time for our inbox. We take your email questions and answer them here on video. Barry, let's get to it with a question from Bob. He says, the basketball program at OSU is a mess. Is the answer to suck it up and buy Travis Ford out of his contract no matter what it costs?
I think the answer is no. I don't think that right now a coaching change is what OSU needs. I think OSU would benefit from some stability. Ford has recruited rather well, got a lot of top shelf talent. Doesn't have enough players. He's short of manpower, but he's recruited some top shelf talent. For whatever reason, this season has gone south on him. He's not done a good job with this team, but good prospects coming in. I would not spend the money. He's got 5 years left on a big contract. I would not buy out Travis Ford at all. I would give him more time.
It seems like it would be about a $10 million buyout if my math is right, and that's a lot of cash for anybody, and it'd be a lot of cash for OSU, that's for sure. I just don't know if that's a hit that they want to take, and frankly, if you fire Travis Ford, who are you going to get? To me, that's the question. If you don't have a guy ready to come in, if you don't know that your next step is going to be an elevation, is going to be a higher hiring, I just don't know if you pull the trigger. And I tell you what, a lot of fans have very short memories when it comes to Travis Ford and what he's done. This year, as Barry said, it has had its train wreck moments. But if you look at how Travis Ford's teams have closed out their seasons from February 1st on the last few years, they've gotten better. I've had some people say, well, these teams of his don't get better. I don't buy that. They've had some swoons, but they've pulled out of them, made the tournament, not won many tournament games, but you're seeing them improve in those last final weeks. Can this team do that? Would definitely help to turn down the heat a little bit on Travis Ford, that's for sure. All right, back to the inbox from Mike. He says, one thing I noticed is the close proximity of fans to the court, what I call luminaries. I know money talks, but I think we need to move them back so the possibility of getting tangled up with a player is not as possible as it is in many arenas. Obviously, in reaction to the situation with Marcus Smart at Texas Tech, fans are on the court pretty much at all basketball venues.
And they're not going back. Where they're at is where they're going to stay because of the finances. OU and OSU have both discovered the NBA model, which is to sell premium seating right on the court, right on the baselines. You're not going to see them go back. They can't give away that revenue. They've got to take advantage of those revenue streams to pay for the never-ending demands of collegiate athletics. So it's a good idea. There was a time when the media, us, served as a virtual moat to keep players and fans apart. Doesn't happen anymore. So the money is too much. The money is going to win this one.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get those seats back anytime soon. In fact, places where the media still has those courtside seatings and that courtside view, it's rare anymore. Even at Kansas, a place that had very good view for media, has cut that back. They now have fans down on the court. Duke, for a lot of years, it was basically the student section was directly behind the media. I don't know if they've sold those seats, but those would be some prime time seats. I did see that at Memphis, a fan got ejected the other night for being too ruly right on the court. So it's interesting. I wonder if this Marcus Smart situation is making more officials and coaches and fans attuned to this sort of thing. Will we see more fans ejected? Possibly, but we're not going to see them move back and get them off the court. All right, this one comes from Gary in our inbox. He says, it's funny that certain fans, like Kansas fans, are more civil. Is it because Kansas is successful or how the fans are expected to act? Barry, what about that?
Well, it's he's asking if a winning tradition breeds class, and I say no. I mean, I don't think winning and class are necessarily coexist. I mean, I think you have one without the other. You don't have to be successful to have a classy fan base, and I think Kansas has established a culture by which, they're rowdy, they chant, they even get on the other team, but they don't cross certain lines. And I think that's it's in the culture at Kansas. I think it's expected and demanded by coaches, and I just don't think they put up with it at Kansas and certain other places. So I don't think you have to win championships. I don't think you have to go to Final Fours. to have classy fans.
Yeah, you mentioned the coaches and sort of that expectation, and you mentioned after you wrote about fan behavior in one of your blogs about Kelvin Sampson basically telling the fans at OU at one point not to laugh at an official who had fallen down, and oh, by the way, that Texas stinks, or that variation on that chant, can we cut that out too? So coaches everywhere do it, but the difference, and I know this from experience because I went to Kansas, is that when Roy Williams was there, and I assume it's still the same with Bill Self, but if the fans start to do something and those coaches say, knock it off, whether it's just a look or a stern, whatever, however they do it, the fans knock it off. So there's a level of respect there. If the coach says, hey, we're not going to do that, that's all that's needed. It's not like security has to go into the stands and say, hey, knock it off. The coach just makes one motion and all of a sudden it stops. So I don't think, obviously if you win, it's a lot easier to stomach sort of how you act, and you don't need to act ugly a lot, but I think there's clearly that expectation that people will act a certain way there. And other places too, but that's definitely one of them. All right, back to the inbox from Jim. Jim says, I wonder what Jackie Robinson would say to Marcus Smart. Now there's an interesting question, Barry.
I included this email in our list just because it made me think. I thought this is a fascinating question. And, a year ago I got to watch the new Jackie Robinson movie, 42. And, I wonder, it's a legitimate question. What would a Jackie Robinson say to Marcus Smart? And here's what he would say. He would say, I think what Marcus learned and what Marcus now knows is, you've got to let it go. You can't respond to knuckleheads. Knuckleheads will be proven out. They will be found out. They will be eventually have their day. You can't give them their moment in the sun by reacting to them. So I think Marcus Smart knows that now. I think that's the advice Jackie Robinson would give to Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it is unfortunate for everybody involved. I mean, it's just a bad situation all the way around. Marcus Smart had a moment where he lost it. He lost his cool. He lost his head. I think it was building towards that. It wasn't like he was, hearing that sort of thing a bunch and then he reacted. It was losing. It was, kicking the chair. It was all the disappointment that this season has become. And what I think we agree is some pressure on Marcus Smart, kind of building up, got to that point where they could see they're losing again. Somebody said something and he lost his cool. And it definitely reflects on Marcus Smart. We're going to be talking about him a lot longer in this incident than we ever will about the fan. So he's got to learn to control it. I think he will. I think he'll be a different player when it comes to stuff like this, but clearly a very learnable moment for Marcus Smart right there. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.